He's written blogs revealed by BuzzFeed and now deleted, in which he called those on benefits a vast sea of unemployed wasters. What do you say to that?
Well, I think, unlike John McDonnell, Ben has apologised for those comments. And I think there's a big difference between a young man before he enters politics writing a blog compared to the Shadow Chancellor refusing to apologise for comments about lynching a female MP. And so they need to be looked in context.
Right, but what about Ben Bradley? I mean, apologising is one thing. He is still a vice chair of the Conservative Party. I mean, is it acceptable that someone in that position of influence, who is trying to broaden the base of the Conservative Party, and he wrote in tweets, also revealed by BuzzFeed and deleted, saying he'd watched the police play Splat the Chav during the London riots. Is that acceptable language from an MP, even if it was written before he was elected? Well,
I think there is a difference. If we want people to come into politics from a variety of backgrounds who are not professional politicians, then they are going to, make mistakes. And Ben did this before he was elected, several years ago. It's not something he's written in the last 6 months or a year. It's several years ago. He has apologised. If he did something like that while he was elected as an MP, that would be different. But, compared to John McDonnell, who's actually inciting
what about comparing it to Jared O'Mara? Because he was also wrote the comments that he made online several years before he became an MP, and yet the Conservatives were extremely quick to condemn him and said Jeremy Corbyn had turned a blind eye to this kind of behaviour. So there's double standards.
Well, I haven't heard that Jared O'Mara has actually apologised for his comments, and his comments are slightly different. They're actually quite violent in nature and quite abusive in nature.
And how would you describe the comments by Ben Bradley?
Well, I don't find those acceptable,
and
Ben has actually
unemployed people should have vasectomies.
I don't think that's actually what he said.
His blog said unemployed people should have vasectomies. It was written in 2012. It's not that long ago.
Well, it's several years ago, and it's long before he was up for election and becoming an MP, and he has apologised. And the difference between him and John McDonnell...
Yes, you keep referring to John McDonnell, but I think the closer comparison... Yes, because he said he was re-quoting somebody else, and the audience can take a view about whether they think that's enough of John McDonnell. But in terms of equal behaviour between the Labour MP Jared O'Mara, who's been suspended, why hasn't Ben Bradley been suspended?
That's not my call to make.
Should he be?
I accept Ben's apology, and I think, he has said that that's not the sort of comment he's going to make in the future. And so I think we have to take people on face value. If we do want ordinary people and not professional politicians, people are crying out for ordinary people to come into politics, and they will make mistakes. And I think if they've apologised and seen the error of their ways, then that has to be accepted. What
do you think it says about Ben Bradley's attitude about those on benefits and those on lower incomes when these were only written a few years ago?
Look, I can't speak for Ben. If you want to ask Ben about his thoughts on his comments,